Hi, Erica McLean. Thanks for joining me today or coming to watch this video. Basically, we're talking about selling your home as is. If that's been something that you've been thinking about, by the end of this video, hopefully you will fully understand the pros and cons of selling as is. A lot of people have a misconception of what as is in a real estate contract actually means. In my opinion, there are more cons than there are pros. So let's start with what the pros of selling as is actually mean. The biggest pro is that after the fact, the property closes, that buyer cannot come back and try and sue you. This is what I believe is a pro, but I'm not an attorney. I don't pretend to play an attorney, but that's basically what I've always been told. So that's the biggest pro. A lot of people have the misconception that as is means you can leave whatever you want. Well, with these We Buy Ugly Home commercials for all these different companies like this, that is what you can do. And I've got a whole nother playlist that you can watch to see how much money people have lost by doing that. But in a typical real estate sale where your property is listed and you've got an agent involved and attorney involved and all of that, the as is, it does not mean you leave whatever you want. The contract always call for the home to be broom swept clean and all personal property removed, unless it's something like touch up paint or extra floor tiles in case a tile breaks. Typically, what I do is sometimes the buyer does want the seller to leave something and the seller's willing to leave a couch or something like that. I have the attorneys get that in writing so that we don't have a problem at closing. But basically, when you're selling it as is, it usually results in a lower sales price. If you sell to one of these companies that buy it as is, it's really a significantly lower sales price from everyone that I've looked at. Buyers are going to question what's wrong with the property. Why are you selling it as is? It kind of also throws up a red flag for the bank appraiser. Why is it being sold as is? They must be worried that, or not disclosing something about the property. Typically, the only time an as is sale doesn't necessarily result in a lower selling price because it's being sold as is, doesn't throw up any red flags for the bank appraiser or the underwriter or even the buyer for that fact, is if the property is an estate sale and the person selling it has not lived in the property, their attorney always advises to sell it as is. They fill out the property disclosures and everything, but they sell it as is because they don't want to be responsible for anybody coming back after them after the sale because it wasn't their property. And all foreclosed properties, the banks sell everything as is. And I'm assuming it's just for that reason because I know of a few people that have bought foreclosed properties. I was not their agent, it was not in my area, only to find out that previous owners were assuming did it, poured cement down the drains, and there was significant damage. They didn't realize that until after they purchased it, but it was as is, so it was the bank selling it a foreclosure. They couldn't go back after the bank. Now, if your property is located in one of the suburbs that does an inspection, like a listing inspection for code violations, and they require everything to be up to code in order to issue the transfer stamp or the deed to change names, most of the towns will let the buyer assume the village repairs. Some towns require the buyer to put up escrow with the town until those repairs are completed. Some of them don't. It varies from town to town. But if you're having the buyer assume these repairs, that doesn't necessarily make it have to be an as is sale. Basically, on the contract, we would put buyer to assume village repairs, town repairs, whatever they are. But ultimately, if they're going to assume those repairs, they're going to want a reduction in cost of the property. So either way, if you live in a town that has these inspections, it's going to fall on the seller's shoulders. So I don't see, maybe you see it, maybe that's a pro that you don't have to do it and the buyer is just going to assume it. But that doesn't necessarily make it, like I said, an as is sale. So, is selling as is the right choice for you? It really depends on your situation and your priorities. Because if you want to sell it as is, looking for a fast cash sale to one of these companies that buys it as is, where you could leave everything and just walk away, you're most likely leaving a significant amount of money on the table. If you want to maximize your selling price, reach a larger group of buyers, which also helps drive up the selling price as opposed to these we buy your house for cash. Everybody's situation is unique. So it's really all about finding what's the best path for your specific goals. If you're unsure or you have any questions, I'd love to talk to you. I'm here to guide you through the process and help you make the decision that's best for your situation. Reach out today. I'd love to help get you started. And that about wraps it up. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Also, if you could like, subscribe, all those things to help on YouTube, I would be grateful. And thank you so much for watching my video. And I hope you'll be back to watch another one. But otherwise, bye for now.